Chronic low-grade inflammation is a silent and insidious threat to both the body and the brain, one that often goes unnoticed until the damage has already begun to take a toll. Unlike the acute inflammation that signals injury and prompts healing, this persistent, low-level inflammatory state quietly wears down multiple systems over time, including the neural networks responsible for memory, attention, and executive function. People experiencing chronic inflammation often report lingering fatigue, unexplained stiffness, slow recovery from minor injuries, or a constant sense of heaviness. While these symptoms may appear trivial or simply part of getting older, they are in fact warning signs of systemic stress that can have profound consequences on the brain, particularly in regions like the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex that are highly sensitive to inflammatory insults. The danger of chronic inflammation is that it disrupts the brain's delicate balance at multiple levels. Neuroinflammation, an inflammatory response within the central nervous system, can impair synaptic function, interfere with neurotransmitter signaling, and reduce neurogenesis, the process of forming new neurons. Persistent inflammation releases cytokines, chemokines, and other molecular messengers that, when chronically elevated, act as neurotoxins. This not only slows memory formation and recall, but also accelerates the degeneration of existing neural circuits. Early symptoms may manifest subtly. You may notice that concentration is fleeting, short-term memory is unreliable, and mental clarity diminishes even during routine tasks. Over time, if this low-grade inflammation is left unchecked, it increases the risk of neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's and other forms of dementia. Inflammation also interacts with other metabolic and vascular systems in ways that compound cognitive risk. Chronic inflammation can impair insulin signaling, contributing to insulin resistance and glucose dysregulation in the brain. Neurons, which rely on a steady supply of glucose, become energy deficient and less capable of supporting the synaptic plasticity necessary for learning and memory. Additionally, inflamed blood vessels reduce cerebral blood flow, limiting oxygen and nutrient delivery and further compromising neuronal health. The combination of metabolic stress, vascular impairment, and direct neural toxicity creates a perfect storm that slowly erodes cognitive resilience. The lifestyle and environmental factors that contribute to this hidden threat are widespread. Diets high in processed foods, refined sugars, trans fats, and artificial additives promote systemic inflammation, while chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, preventing the immune system from properly regulating inflammatory responses. Sedentary behavior amplifies the problem, as regular movement is essential for reducing inflammatory markers and improving circulation to the brain. Sleep disruption, whether due to poor habits, stress, or sleep disorders, prevents the body from entering restorative cycles during which inflammation is naturally reduced and neuronal repair occurs. Each of these factors, alone or in combination, increases the risk that neuroinflammation will compromise memory circuits, mood stability, and cognitive flexibility. The warning signs are often subtle but persistent. People may feel perpetually tired despite adequate rest, notice stiffness in joints or muscles, or experience prolonged soreness after minimal physical exertion. Mentally, they may find themselves struggling to focus, feeling foggy, or forgetting recent conversations or appointments. These are not trivial issues. They indicate that inflammatory processes are already affecting the nervous system. If ignored, chronic low-grade inflammation gradually erodes the brain's resilience, making it less capable of compensating for daily stressors and more vulnerable to progressive cognitive decline. Unlike acute illnesses, which come and go, this inflammation operates continuously, quietly undermining mental performance and overall health. The negative consequences extend beyond the nervous system. Persistent inflammation increases the risk of cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and autoimmune disorders, all of which feed back to exacerbate neural stress. Individuals in a state of chronic inflammation may find themselves trapped in a cycle where physical discomfort reduces activity levels, poor diet fuels further inflammation, and sleep is continually disrupted. This loop accelerates the damage, and the brain, particularly the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex, bears a disproportionate share of the burden. Over time, cognitive deficits become more pronounced, emotional regulation becomes more difficult, and the overall quality of life diminishes. Prevention and intervention are essential to halt this downward spiral. Nutrition is a cornerstone of controlling inflammation. Fatty fish such as salmon, mackerel, and sardines provide omega-3 fatty acids that help modulate the immune response and protect neuronal membranes. Leafy greens like spinach, kale, and Swiss chard supply antioxidants, magnesium, and phytonutrients that reduce oxidative stress. Berries, particularly blueberries and blackberries, are rich in flavonoids and polyphenol that directly combat neuroinflammation and support memory function. Turmeric, containing the active compound curcumin, has been shown in numerous studies to reduce both systemic and neural inflammation. Including these foods consistently in meals provides the brain and body with tools to fight the inflammatory assault at a molecular level. Lifestyle interventions are equally critical. Regular physical activity, ranging from moderate aerobic exercise to strength training, reduces inflammatory markers, improves insulin sensitivity, and enhances cerebral blood flow. Even light daily movement, such as walking or stretching, supports vascular health and neuronal energy supply. Stress management is essential because chronic psychological stress amplifies neuroinflammation through persistent cortisol elevation. Techniques such as meditation, deep breathing exercises, yoga, or journaling can lower stress hormones, restore hormonal balance, and give neurons a chance to recover. Sleep is another non-negotiable factor. During deep, restorative sleep, the brain clears metabolic waste, reduces inflammatory signaling, and repairs damaged neurons. Poor sleep perpetuates inflammation and accelerates cognitive decline, making it a critical target for intervention. Establishing a consistent sleep routine, limiting exposure to artificial light before bed, and creating a calm, dark sleeping environment can significantly reduce neuroinflammation over time. Ignoring chronic low-grade inflammation is dangerous because its effects accumulate silently. Each day spent in a pro-inflammatory state adds incremental stress to neurons, degrades memory circuits, and diminishes mental resilience. Over years, this can lead to significant cognitive impairment, mood disorders, and structural changes in the brain that are difficult to reverse. Fatigue, stiffness, and brain fog may appear minor, but they are early warning signs of systemic and neural stress that, if unaddressed, can evolve into debilitating cognitive decline. Addressing chronic low-grade inflammation requires a multi-pronged, consistent approach. Anti-inflammatory nutrition, regular physical activity, sufficient restorative sleep, and effective stress management are all essential for protecting neural circuits and maintaining cognitive function. By responding early to the subtle warning signs, fatigue, stiffness, slow recovery, mental fog, individuals can prevent the cumulative damage that inflammation inflicts on memory, attention, and executive function. The brain is remarkably resilient, but only if it is shielded from the relentless, silent assault of chronic inflammation. Ignoring it allows a quiet but profound erosion of both mental and physical health, whereas proactive intervention can restore clarity, energy, and long-term cognitive vitality.